Nelson Lee, a Texas Ranger, was once brought captive by the Comanches, and as smart as he is, Lee uses his supernatural powers to try and escape from them. The Comanches were one of the most cruel when it comes to their hostages. They tortured and humiliated them, and even worse, they even enjoyed doing that. There was a point when Lee even tried to kill himself. Did he escape successfully? How did they torture him? The capture. Lee and his team planned to drive a herd of mules from East Texas near Corpus Christi to a place in California in the middle of the night. Lee picks up his new pocket watch that can be set to go off like an alarm. He wanted the caravan to be on time every day. They halt a little southwest of El Paso, where they wish to rest the mules for a few weeks. To remain secure, the camp utilizes sentinels to keep an eye out for danger each night. On April 2, 1855, Lee comes off patrol at 1 a.m., sets his alarm, and goes to bed. Screams reverberate throughout the camp, which is pitch black and lit only by a small bonfire. Lee notices black figures moving across the camp. They were painted Comanche. It's a raid. A smart move. Lee reaches for his rifle, but it is too late. A squad of Comanche tackles him to the ground and holds him there. Nelson Lee and 3 others were held hostage. The alarm goes off and they notice the pocket watch. They had never seen anything like that, so they returned it to Lee and asked him if he could make the watch do it again. Lee writes, "The idea at once flashed upon my mind that I might make it serve a useful purpose. They untied my hands, and I accepted the watch with an air of reverence and adoration. I wound it up solemnly and so regulated it, then a few minutes, it went off again." Again, the dusky crowd was struck with wonder and astonishment. Lee believed at this moment that the Comanche saw something supernatural about the watch, and that it was linked to a great spirit. The men were taken to the chief, Big Wolf. Big Wolf had heard about the watch and wanted to witness it in action. Lee declines it by saying doing so now would be harmful. The chief is upset when Lee points to the skies and explains that doing so now would destroy the planet. Even in this situation, Lee took the risk of making smart use of the watch in his hand, which could help him escape. The torture. Lee is then carried to a spot where the other prisoners were bare-skinned and tied to high stakes in the ground, their wrists hauled up in the air with rope. Lee was also stripped and tied. The ritual then commenced, with Big Wolf invited to watch. They danced ceremoniously and tortured Lee's friends and killed them brutally by stabbing them little by little and letting them die in excruciating pain. Lee even attempts to kill himself. One day he even attacked the Comanche, but they reply by wrestling him and laughing at him, but don't kill him. After his initial capture, Nelson Lee stayed with the Comanche for 3 years. He was purchased and sold numerous times within the tribe. He became a servant to Big Wolf and the other lords who purchased him. He accomplished anything they required him to do, and after gaining their trust, he did have one special brutal master, Spotted Leopard, who used a knife to slice the muscles below his knee after an unsuccessful escape attempt. The Great Escape. On a certain day when the Comanches were busy at war elsewhere, Lee took the opportunity to escape. He killed one of the Comanches with an axe and took his horse to escape. He would ride for days with this horse toward freedom. He suffered without food, and he could not even light up a fire at night, as he could be spotted easily. Lee's horse weakens and he's forced to abandon him when he's unable to continue further. On day 56 of his escape, while resting in the plains, he hears a rifle fire nearby and gets his weapon to protect himself. But he's happy to realize that it is not a Comanche, but a group of Mexicans. He was then rescued by the Mexicans on 10th November 1858, who were allied to the Texas Rangers. He then moves to New York, after some rest, and writes his book explaining in detail the horrors he experienced. That's all for today, guys. Subscribe for more videos on the history of Native American tribes.